Welcome everybody to Digital Dispatches. We've got Craig Young with us today, and Craig's going to give us an update on the Evolve project. He has a short presentation and he'll take questions at the end, so just pop those into the chat if you wouldn't mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. As Linda says, I'm Craig Young, so Program Director for the Evolve program. You'll I've probably seen some of the earlier town hall meetings, but I know Digital Dispatches goes to a slightly different audience, slightly wider audience as well. So I'm looking forward to just giving a bit of an update about what's happening. There's been some major changes on the program, so just going to run through those. So 4 real key questions today. Recap for what is Evolve. I know there's some people on here that may not be familiar with it, so just very quick recap. I know I'm looking at the names. I know the vast majority will be familiar with it, but a quick recap about what it is. What's the current situation? Where can I find a little bit more information? Where can I find some frequently asked questions? And then just answer any questions that come through on the chat as I've progressed. So, what is Evolve? Evolve is looking to combine all of the digital staff across HSC into a single delivery body, into a directorate inside of BSO. So that includes all of the various areas of BSO, such as BSO ITS, the Equip program, and the Encompass program, all moving through into a new directorate inside of BSO, as well as the various digital elements of the 6 trusts and NIBTS as well. The arm's length bodies currently consume their IT services from BSO. So it's moving them all through into a single area. That will be home to around about 1,100 digital specialists whenever this program all completes. And there's a number of key documents exploring that and the rationale for it, particularly those that highlighted in bold. There's a mandate from the Permanent Secretary, and key, and know this is talked about quite frequently on these digital dispatches, that digital strategy for HSC 22 to 30 as well calls this out as the direction of travel for the entirety of the HSC. There's a number of other documents there as well. So there is quite a lot of information and background as to why this has come about over its history. I suppose that said, one of the key questions is why. So there's 4 real big areas as to why. With the growth of digital going on throughout the HSC, so we can see the demand almost rising exponentially year on year for the consumption of digital services and digital projects, and even just use of data, using that data. You can kind of see that in the programs coming through, like Encompass, Equip, NIPACS, NIPIM, some of the other areas. There's been a real huge demand for that growth, and this is almost in response to that. There's within the PSSP, so this program came about from the Public Sector Shared Services program that recommended that health sector investigates then the use of shared services for IT, so kind of combining what we do into one unit. And those reinvestment opportunities are registered in millions of pounds. That's the savings we could make through doing this, and then that allows us to reinvest in digital, which we desperately need to do. Crucially, then, it's supporting the future requirements of the staff. So as digital grows, I'll go into a little bit more detail on that in a second, but as digital grows, then we also need to make sure that we're meeting the demands of the staff to be competitive as a workplace, and then that growing demand of the service, finally enabling even better care for service users. By enabling our frontline to do the activities they need to do, then we will sit there and enable that to occur better through digital services that they wish to consume. Just focus for 1 second just on that, supporting future requirements of staff and service. We know there's a lot of change ongoing in HSC, even just if you look at the digital side of it, that top half, that top right bit of that diagram. We've got Equip, Encompass, NIDIS, NIPACS, NIPIMS, LIMS, BloodPath, and that's just some of the big major change programs that are ongoing. Then you layer on top of that all the non-digital change programs, big initiatives in pathology and primary care. There's a huge amount of change ongoing within the system. And a lot of that is enabled in the back end by digital. And there's that growing demand then for the skill sets. Then we also layer how the actual environment is changing. We've got the growth of AI, we've got the growth of big data, Internet of Things, and even just the use of power apps and just the demand, the ever-growing demand for the use of those services. And it kind of points to we require like a slightly different skill set going forward we have all the skills we currently need, but we need to kind of keep progressing our skill set and keep progressing what we need to deliver. And those services are in demand. How do we kind of make sure that we retain staff, attract staff, give better career pathways, ensure better continuity of staff where we have aging workforces? How do we kind of better fill in-demand roles so they kind of can go across the HSC and service across the HSC rather than just locally? That's part of the demand in terms of making it attractive, making it a better place to work, and then making it a better digital services that we can then deliver. So that's all the why. That's the sort of outline of it. I know many of you would have heard that before. What's the current situation? So last time I did the digital dispatches was a number of months ago, so we kind of wind that back. September 23, we have at the time a requirement to change the approach that we were taking. There's a number of portfolio funding issues, a lot of issues around timing and demand, and so there was a requirement to change how we're going to roll out Evolve. That resulted in a future phasing workshop, which took place in 12th September. And during that period, a lot of work and activity happened in the governance in the background. You'll be familiar with the governance models through other presentations, but that there's a robust regional governance in place. And through that process, a new rollout model was agreed in January 24. And in March 24, we took that forward to staff consultation. And then a staff consultation report was published in April 24, which highlighted a number of different things. It highlighted both a positive reaction to the change from the staff and a negative reaction to the change to the staff, which is probably what broadly would you expect with staff consultations of this sort of nature. However, what was universal throughout all those responses was the level of concern on the level of demand being placed on staff due to multiple change programs ongoing, and we know there's demanding change regime in place. So the program board took the very difficult decision of the decision around that period to focus on a limited set of activities until April 26th. I say it was a difficult decision. It's a difficult decision because we need to pursue that benefits. The strategy is very clear about what the long-term requirement is for HSC and how do we meet that. But at the same time, we need to be cognizant of the staff are telling us loud and clear of that level of demand on their time. And so we need to recognize that, we need to build that in, and we need to plan for that. So we'll just explore that for 1 second. We've got the staff consultation results sort of pointing to this level of demand they find in their time. We've got a complex portfolio of digital go-lives all happening in the next 24 months. The decision was taken to reduce the program velocity through April 26th. We're not pausing the program, we're not stepping the program down. There are activities we need to do, but activities we need to do in a slightly different way. And then post April 26th, then increase that velocity again, go back where we were meant to be. So what would that look like? Is in and around about at this time. Just get a wee bit of echo, a wee bit of feedback from someone in the mic. So just double check you're on mute, that'll be appreciated. That's perfect, thank you. So as the program reduces velocity through to April and then post April 26th, we ramp back up again. So at the moment, for example, on the original plan, there's meant to be in and around about 35 to 40 full-time staff working across the HSC to make this happen. And that's been severely reduced just to a handful of staff, and some staff, like myself now, working part-time on the program and part-time on another program in my instance. But so there is so be very clear then what we're saying. What does that actually mean, a reduction in program velocity? It's a pause in the majority of the program activity. So Evolve will continue, but focusing on a limited set of key activities. There's no planned staff transfers within the Evolve program, and a review is envisaged to be published on April 26th to recommend the rollout plan. And that'll be after the Comets go lives, the Equip go lives, and the other major digital go lives that we have. Now, that's a very different message to what we've been putting out in the system before, which is why DHT and I were keen to host me for this digital dispatches, and also why we're just giving these updates around the system. So if that's not what we're not doing, what are we doing? There's 4 key activities that we're delivering between now and April 26th. There's a big portfolio ongoing. Evolve has been asked to help ensure alignment of those other regional digital programs so that they share the objective to share digital services in the long term. So what does that mean? So like the cyber program, for example, is looking at potentially introducing a SIEM into HSE, and SOC and a SIEM, the Security Operating Center, and where if that is where that is hosted centrally, then we will support that initiative to kind of make sure that matches that long-term digital vision that's set out inside of the digital strategy 22 to 30. We also need to allow for contingencies. We are a system that's under pressure, particularly some areas of digital. So in exceptional circumstances, such as service failure, HSE organizations can still approach BSO Digital Directorate to provide some digital services. That's true as of today. That's always has been true. But we have now got a bit of resource available to help in that instance, to help design the SLAs, help with any transfers of staff, and just make sure that we as an HSE organization can kind of plug any gaps that occur through any service failures, or through any where an organization wants to move their services over to BSO in advance of any other activity occurring. There's a lot of work that needs to be done with the Technical Design Authority, the TDA. Part of what was coming through the governance channels, through the various design groups, and from the staff consultation was the desire for a roadmap of projects and impact that will have on those regional services. We're producing lots of different activities through our infrastructures. Where is that all going? How is that tied together? And how does that enable that long-term single digital body view? That work is then set to continue and be published over that intervening period. And then finally, an external review of all the activities ongoing, all the lessons I've learned, the blueprints that we've created, where we are post-Encompass, post-Equip, and then publishing and recommending a way forward post-April 26th. So that is what we're doing and focusing on through to April 26th. So there's a couple of places in terms of where can I find more information, a couple of places you can find that information. At the moment, there's a local update sessions that are being organised in each trust. I believe now, as of this morning, I think all trusts now have those booked in. They are a combination of in-person events or virtual events. Either was organised at a trust. Some trusts taking them virtually just because of room booking issues. Others were taking place in part. It's actually an opportunity to ask Q&As in a smaller group session and chat through what's happening at that trust level. But there's also then the wider intranet site. I think Mark is on the call. Mark, you'll post in the chat just a link through that. That would be appreciated. That will count. There's FAQ documents up there, which goes into a little bit more detail about what will happen in certain dates, what will happen to the blueprints. Those documents have been all updated on the back of that decision. Also access to some videos where we'll go explore this with Jennifer Welsh, the SRO, on what's happening on this program. There's a whistle-stop tour of what's happening at the very highest level. I also just want to give the opportunity to just ask any questions or queries. So I'll pause there, and then Linda, I'll hand back over to yourself just to compare that part to questions.
There's nothing in the chat at the minute other than Mark's link to the documents. I have a burning question, Craig.
Yes, Linda, go for it.
You've mentioned about meeting our needs in the future, and AI in particular came up there as a hot topic. Are we planning now to upskill our own workforce in those areas to meet that demand? Is there somewhere people can go to, if they're interested in that, to have a look at where they might travel to in the future on a career path?
Yeah, so there's a few different things wrapped up there, Linda. So first of all, in terms of Evolve, part of its long-term objectives, so we've got those temporary objectives through April 26th, part of its long-term objectives is create career pathways and be very clear about how staff enter in those career pathways, how to progress along those, how do they match the demand that we have as a service. However, there's also activities occurring now. Evolve is part of a big, complex digital health governance that's ongoing. There are two bodies that have been set up in recent months around the people aspects of it. One looking at the digital professional groups from the clinician side, and one looking at the digital professional groups from the digital specialist side. they are tasked with also looking at this activity. So Evolve very much plays a key part of that. There are there are areas that are out of scope of Evolve, so around how some of the big data areas would work, for example. Some of the areas within the strategy of the HCNI are out of scope, so it's important that we can't deal with that in the wide issue. So that is meeting currently, and the outputs of those will start to flow through, and that's looking at those issues around how do we upskill our staff and what skill set do we even need in 3, 4, 5 years time, and how do we get there.
Okay, thank you. You've obviously done a marvellous job, Craig, at explaining the position, because there's not a single question this afternoon, which is
Linda,
highly unusual, I have to say.
Absolutely, I was expecting quite a few, and Linda, to be fair, there's been a lot of, I've been up in Northern Troughs already for their events, and I've done the town hall, which has a similar message. So there's been a lot of questions that have come through already in advance of this that have been answered. As always, though, I'm happy to answer questions now. If not, as well, email evolveprogram@hscni.net. Then we'll pick it up there, and one of the team will get back to you. So it's always, or just pick up the phone and call me. Always happy to have a chat.
Okay. Thanks very much, Craig, and thank you for those who took the time out to come and join us this afternoon. For colleagues who may be on leave or weren't available today due to other commitments, let them know that this will be available online for them next week, just to see Craig's presentation for themselves. Thanks very much, and we'll see you all at the beginning of September.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.